Hello, my name is Kayla Myers. Thank you for joining me for the OnBase security demonstration today. A couple of things probably come to mind when I mention OnBase security, such as data security, user security, and environmental security. Today we're going to talk about OnBase user security. The security of an OnBase environment starts with the user access. You can create OnBase security using both OnBase or NT LDAP authentication. So in order to look at OnBase security, we're going to log into our OnBase configuration client. And there's a few things we'll need to set up. The first thing we want to set up is our user group. User groups is what is going to assign an entire group of users certain privileges and product rights and access into the system. You would want to create a user group name that's going to give some insight of what the group is able to do or what the group is. So things like an AP user or an AP super user, AP manager, because then you're adding the department of where the users are at and kind of a little bit about the job titles or the access they're allowed to have. By default, OnBase is automatically going to create an admin configuration account and a manager. Any other account you would want to go ahead and create. So let's just create a AP workflows. And from there, we can do a couple different things. If we had members already created in our OnBase system, we could go ahead and assign them to this group. If we had document types created, we can go ahead and assign the document types to this group. So this is telling OnBase that this user group is able to see this document. Same thing with our custom queries, our note types, file cabinets, scan keys, workflows. Those are all telling OnBase that you can assign this scan queue or this workflow to this user group. Some of the important ones we want to look at today is our privileges. So privileges is what it's going to tell OnBase what this user group is allowed to do. So in the document section, we have things like viewing or retrieving a document, modifying a document, modifying keywords on a document. So really important privileges to review to make sure you really want your users to be able to do these functions. If you want the users to see any files or folders, you would go ahead and update that security here in this section. If these users are able to scan, so you want them to maybe scan a document, index a document, purge a document that they scanned, things along those lines, that would all be configured in this scan index batches section. We have our client-based products. So if you want this user group to have access to workflow or workview, any of those type of items would all be found in this client-based product section. And then lastly, we have our client feature. Do you want them to see the retrieval dialog, import documents, toolbar configuration? One that I like to mention that I think is kind of important is this user workstation option. This allows the users to create or change some of their settings within their clients. I typically do give it to most of my users, but that's just something to definitely note. As well as the enable markup toolbar. If you have your documents set to allow markups, then there's no reason not to give them access to this toolbar. But again, it's all based on your organization. So just something definitely to look at when creating user groups. You definitely want to review this section and provide the correct privileges to your user groups. Log privileges, I typically do not see too many user groups having access to this unless they are a super user or helping out the OnBase administrators. Except for the scanning log, some user groups that have access to scan typically do have access to view this log, but typically, like I said, I don't see too many people with access to any logs. Another one I wanted to discuss, which is extremely important, is this product rights here. So this is telling OnBase which of the registered products can this user access. The client, the web client, the mobile client. Are they able to scan? Can they do a full page OCR? Things along that line. So this section of the product rights is extremely important. The rest of the sections on the screen Again, I typically only see OnBase administrators or super users having access to it. Things like configuration, administrative privileges, administrative processing privileges. Kind of says it in the name, the administrators of the system typically are the ones that have access to this, but maybe you want to give, a couple of these features to some super users or to maybe some managers in your groups. So once you've selected a couple clients or any of the products here, you would want to save your changes. And those are the two key ones I really want to go over. There are a lot of options in here. There are a lot of different settings. Everybody's screen will change or look different depending on what they're licensed for. The biggest thing is if you have users that cannot do something, this is a really good place to start when you're troubleshooting that issue. Do they have a product right? Do they have privileges? Things along that line. So once you have your user groups created, now you need to create your users. So you can either use the Active Directory users and just assign them these user groups within Active Directory, or you can create users in OnBase. So we go to users, usernames, and from there we can create a username. So you can do it however your system is set up. If you want to use first names, first initial, last name, anything that you and your organization have decided to do. I already have a feeling created, I'm sorry. Let's create a new user, Shelly. And we just fill out the information passed on the screen here. We can set up our password, so you can provide the user any password you would like. I would, of course, recommend requiring them to change the password the next time they log in. If you have a user account already created that you want them to mirror the same access, you can select one of those accounts from here. If you did select an account, you do have some options from there to either copy the user group or copy the user choices. I'm not going to select any group at all. If I wanted to give my Shelly user a designated license, such as maybe a named user client or workflow named user client, things along those lines, I can check those from here. And then if this user account was going to have any sort of administrative options, those are things I could check on the screen here. So let's go ahead and save Shelly. And then next we want to assign those user groups we created. So Shelly is an AP manager, so I'm going to assign her the user group of that. So now she has all those privileges and products and all those rights that I have configured in that user group access. I can close that. And then I know there's a couple more options on the screen, such as security keywords, calendars, signatures. Again, we just don't have enough time to go through all those throughout the day. So please feel free to read the manual reference guides, or of course reach out to us here at RPI, and we'd be more than happy to assist you with setting up your user security within OnBase. Thank you so much and have a great day.